Episode 26, Gold Standard College Basketball Podcast. It's Big Papa. That's Bobby Hoops. Hoops, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling better today than I did on Sunday evening and Monday. I'm feeling better. Still a little sad, but better.
Good. I mean, I'm willing to go ahead and just say we're a full-blown golf and baseball podcast now.
That's fine by me. That's fine by me.
We can keep the basketball wording on our pod, but we've moved on. We'll keep talking hoops.
I like all ball.
Yeah. Like golf.
Like we're baseball. Hitting it, we're shooting it, we're pitching it.
Yep.
I love ball.
I moved on, but I'm a couple steps ahead of you and plenty of other folks. I mean, nobody cares about the first round at this point anyway. Like Jake Golke, nobody even talks about Jake Golke anymore.
You even got his name wrong. It's Jack.
Yeah, exactly. Like, who is he?
I don't care. Who cares about that guy?
I mean, he went on part of my take, but whatever. He did his thing.
Whatever.
He'll be an accountant, and I'm sure he'll be a really good accountant.
He had his 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, you had fun, big dog. See ya. Look, it's not even about me. Folks, we're at the Final Four. We've
made it to the Final Four.
We made it to the Final Four, which consists of UConn, Alabama, Purdue, and freaking North Carolina State.
Everybody Burns, the big boy. They've won. I think it was as of Sunday night. They've won 9 basketball games in 20 days.
That's insane.
They just keep winning.
And I love it's true. It's also one of those things of it's all hypothetical. They're all they're not here if they literally don't bank in that shot to tie and go into OT with Virginia.
Yeah,
you're right.
The play that for God knows why Virginia didn't foul on that play. Up 3, you foul there. You foul. Send them to the free throw line because they can't beat you at the free throw line. They need 3 points. And they don't foul. UNC makes the shot, and here they are 20 days later in the Final Four.
Here they are. And that's probably what Virginia gets. That's what
Virginia gets.
You get put in the first 4, you lose the first game because you can barely score 50 points. That's what you get. But more credit to North Carolina State, DJ Burns, the Wolfpack, their house. How are you not on this train? If you want to call it Cinderella, that's fine. It's just unbelievably impressive. How many games did you say it's in how many days?
As of Sunday, when they won their Elite Eight game, they had won 9 games in 20 days.
That's insane.
Crazy.
And I mean,
they were stumbling down the stretch. They lose that game to Virginia. Their coach gets fired that night. That's where they were at as a program.
Yep.
And here they are in the Final Four.
Got himself a 2-year extension purely off of the college
winning the ACC tournament. Yeah,
they pulled it off and they won their coach 2 more years.
It's awesome. It's awesome. It's a great story.
You gotta love it. So yeah, there's your Final Four setup. Honestly, I think it'll be fun. I think the matchup between, I was gonna say the matchup between UConn and Bama, I probably favor. I think maybe is going to be more exciting. Then I think about it, I'm like, maybe that DJ Burns and Edey matchup is going to be just because DJ Burns is going to let everybody in Phoenix. He's going to let everybody have it. He doesn't care about Edey's dad, Edey's mom, Edey's sister. He's like, your grandmother can get it. All the fan base. He's going to let everybody know, and I'm excited. It's going to be so much fun to watch him play.
He's the hero we need right now against the evil that is the Purdue Boilermakers.
The
evil that is Zach Edey. He's the hero we need. He's the hero we deserve, really, right now.
That's right. In our darkest
Go
moments,
DJ Burns. Go
we need a
Wolfpack.
hero to step up. And
Go
if you
Wolfpack.
go Pack. If you want to call him a vending machine, that's fine. My man's now got an NIL deal set up with freaking pardon my take. He's got T-shirts that say vending machine. I mean, it's great. Just lean into it. He doesn't care.
Do it, DJ Burns. Please.
Do it.
Please.
Save us.
Oh.
Well, where do you look? We talked about it beforehand, but folks, I think this is probably the episode where Bobby Hoops gets to feel whatever he feels. We did joke, should we have turned the camera on right after the game? It's probably the right decision not to, now that he's had a couple of days to work through it, consider, whatever he feels. And obviously, and I only know this because in the group chat, it was like incredibly sad, frustrated for how the game went, but let's open it up because we can talk about Final Four matchups. I can do another bit about the Cats. I've probably got a small one in me. But I want
no, really. You talk about the Cats? You got something else to say?
No.
Wow.
No, not me wanting to talk about John Calipari not making any staff changes when he literally said everything is on the table when you lose in the first round again. No, not that. No, let's just do the insanity thing and hey, you know what? Everything's fine. Let's keep it the same. 0 changes. That's fine. 0 changes. Go ahead. I'm not going to do a bit. Not today. No. Not me. No, sir.
Are you done? Are you done with that?
I'm done. I got it out.
You're done.
Okay. I got it out.
So yeah, like you kind of said, had we sat down and done this Sunday night or Monday, I would have just been leaning full blown into sore loser, but hurt, fully through orange tinted glasses, talk about how an injustice happened on Sunday, and outside of our Lord and Savior rising, that was the best part of Sunday.
Of course.
But in terms of the basketball court, an injustice took place, and Tennessee was screwed, and Zach Edey's the worst. Some of those feelings still exist.
Yeah.
A little bit.
You let off with they got screwed.
I mean, it was. I'll get to that.
Lean into it. I'm not trying to take it away.
Oh, I know you want me to lean into it, but this is where I am today. And what I wanted to say first is how I am so dang proud and thankful for the Tennessee basketball team this year. It was, I think you can say without a doubt, this was in terms of accomplishments, this was the best Tennessee basketball season in maybe ever. I mean, my basketball knowledge doesn't go, at least in terms of Tennessee's history, doesn't go much further past the 90s. Right. You could probably say some of the Bernie and Ernie years might have been better. So there's probably some ignorance in me saying that. But in terms of the last, quarter of a century, it's hard to argue that we've had a better basketball season than the one that we just had in terms of winning the SEC, having an All-American, first-team All-American player win SEC Player of the Year, and going to an Elite Eight. I mean, it was such a gut punch to lose that game and not go to the Final Four when this is a team that all season we've been saying that this is a Final Four level team. And so obviously we come up just a little short of that. But Elite Eight, it's the second time in program history we've gone that far. So it's, yes, our hopes were and expectations were a little higher, came up a little short there. But I think overall, I'm thankful that I got to watch this team this year. They were so much fun. And to have the best player that Tennessee's probably have ever had anyone put on a Tennessee jersey, at least in the last 25 years, Dalton Connect, to watch him, go out. How else could he go out but with a 37-point performance, put the team on his back? It was truly a lot of fun. to watch this basketball team this year. To watch Zakai come back from his injury and be the engine of this team and lead, and it was awesome. It really was. And then even getting to this last bit of sunshine here, but that the Creighton game in the Sweet 16, winning that game, going on the 18-0 run that we went on it was like, that was so much fun. And while also being super fun was like it felt like such a weight lifted in terms of the narrative around Rick Barnes. And yes, we didn't go to the Final Four, so there's still haters, I'm sure, who can point to Rick Barnes not quote unquote winning in March. But dang it, going to an Elite Eight is an accomplishment. I don't think that is like a loser mentality to say that. And like the thing for Barnes, at least in the last 5 or 6 years, is losing to teams in March that were better than at the end of the day. And Creighton they're a really good team. They almost went to the Final Four last year, brought a lot of those guys back. That was such a fun game to watch us pull that one out. And, Creighton kind of snuck back in and made it a little bit of a game, but we closed them out at the end. And like that win felt so cathartic to me of, we're going to the Elite Eight. Finally, like a little bit of a monkey off of Rick's back, off of this team's back, that like we made a deep run in March. And, I truly think if you pressed me all season, the two teams that I probably would say deep down, I don't think Tennessee could beat, at least, or talent-wise match up well with, or, player personnel-wise match up with, is UConn and Purdue. And obviously, like, we played Purdue twice. They beat us twice. Both of the games were really, funky, and there's a lot to point to and be upset about in terms of how the games were officiated and all that stuff. But point blank, they beat us twice. So, we just ran into one of those two teams at the end of the day. I mean, if we were in a different region, maybe it opens up a little easier for us there at the end. But overall, I'm just thankful that we had this really fun season, went deep in March, went as far as a Tennessee basketball team has ever gone before. And I'm proud of them for their fight, especially it's such a weird, I mean, that's putting it lightly, weird game that was the Purdue game. So then getting into that game, it was so frustrating. It was, and like part of it was like, I knew, and we knew going in the deal with Purdue, Zach Edey is gonna get a ton of calls, and he's gonna shoot a lot of free throws. I knew that going in. So that part of it, I was not really that surprised about. Still frustrating as heck. But one thing about Edey, before I keep going, talking about the way he's officiated, there's been a lot of Tennessee fans, and I was probably even one of them on Sunday night and Monday, talking about how he's not good. He's a 7'4", 300-pound free throw merchant, and that's not fair. That's not really true. Like,
wow.
If that's all it took, being 7'4", 300 pounds to do to have the stats that he has, then like Uros Plavic would have been such a better player for Tennessee. Like, it's not just that. Like, he averaged 26 points a game and 14 rebounds, back-to-back National Player of the Year. That doesn't just happen because you're 7'4". It doesn't. Right. Now, that's not the whole story on him. There's plenty to point to with the way he's officiated. There's plenty to point to from the game that we had on Sunday. Because my main gripe with how that game went, how Edey was officiated, is like I said, I expected him to shoot a lot of free throws. Tennessee's a physical team on defense. We foul a lot. Like that happens. Awaka, I feel like I can't remember a game that we don't finish with Tobe Awaka not having at least 3 to 4 fouls, let alone fouling out, which he did.
Yeah.
But so I knew we would foul a lot because we usually foul a lot because we play physical, hard defense.
Right.
And the way and Edie being a big physical centers usually get fouled more, and they're going to shoot more free throws. It's you can point to lots of big centers throughout the history of basketball. Shaquille O'Neal being one of the bigger names of like they just get fouled a lot and they shoot a lot of free throws. So again, all that stuff I was not surprised about. The most frustrating thing was the fact that this guy played 39 and a half minutes of that basketball game. Of a 40-minute basketball game, Zach Edey played 39 and a half minutes and got called for one foul the whole time. And there, I mean, you could see Tennessee fans put it all over social media. I mean, there were plays where he elbowed Awaka in the face trying to box out for a rebound. That's not called. Edey gets the rebound, puts it back in for an and one, and he gets called. He gets a foul on that play. He shoved Jonas Adu in the back trying to get an offensive rebound. And I'm not even sitting here saying that Edey should have been fouled out or something like that. But dang it, he should not have been able to play 39 and a half minutes. He should have been on the bench for parts of it because he should have been in foul trouble, just like half of our roster was. And that's the thing that was so dang frustrating about twice now. And Tennessee is by no means the only team that has this gripe against Edey. It's been an all-season thing. And that because of his size, he's going to be physical, establishing, his space in the post and fighting for his spot, which he has every right to do. But the defenders are not given the same leeway in jockeying for position back with him because they have to be more physical.
Right.
And so it just feels like because this is the narrative that's been established about what Edey does, it's like the refs are sitting there with like that they've got the defender, whoever's guarding Edey, under a microscope that like, oh, look for the foul. It's about to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. There it is, foul. And it's just like, what are we supposed to do? And like I said, coming into it, I know we're going to foul him a lot, but call it both ways. Like if we're not allowed to be overly physical and trying to guard him, well, then he shouldn't be allowed to elbow our guys in the face. Not that he's doing it on purpose, but like that was the biggest thing for me is he's a great player. He had a great game. He obviously had 40 points like that. And only 14 of them came from the free throw line. He was impossible to deal with.
Yeah.
But he shouldn't have been out there the whole time. He should have had to sit on the bench and think about what he's done a few times. at least, five. I mean, that could have made a huge difference for us. And I just felt like the whistle wasn't. And again, refs get calls wrong. They're human. They're going to get. I have grace for that.
Sure.
But some of those were just egregious to me, of him getting away with him being overly physical and not getting called for it. And there's plenty of other people who are pointing out the fact that like we weren't attacking him on defense. So like we didn't ever put him in positions, to drive at him and try to draw a foul. And like that's totally fair. We weren't trying to do that.
And I'll say this to that point, because I feel like I saw some like NBA guys, college guys, whatever, try to put tape out. They're like, and this is more to give credit to Edey when they're like, how does he not have any fouls? If like for the film and people were saying, why don't you drive at him? It's like, because he gets out of the way. He actually makes a calculated decision. And he's like, I'm not going to go try to block that because either I already know that I'm a step behind or at an angle, like, can I get to it? Like, it's pretty smart decision making because he's making the risk of, if I go after, I'm probably going to foul him. And if I foul him, I'm going to the bench. So you know what? I'm just going to give up the layup, go to the other end of the court because I know most likely I'm going to get fouled.
Totally.
It works. I mean, but to that point, that's not the takeaway. It's just more of folks who, if they're like, how does he not have any fouls? Why don't we take it?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, well, you can't take it at a 7'4" guy if he's just like, I'm just going to get out of the way.
Totally.
You take your layup because we'll just go to the other end and get a bucket too.
Totally.
So
And like I said, I'm not saying that you're saying that this is what I'm
right.
saying. It's not that I'm sitting here and I can point to here's the 8 times he fouled somebody and it wasn't called for. No, I'm just saying he had more than one foul.
He did.
He had more than one. And this is big time. I'm like nitpicking and probably making too much of a deal about this. But I just know he affected the game in an immeasurable amount of just the fact that he was on the court the whole game and was able to be on the court the whole game. And there was never any point where Matt Painter has to sit over there and think like, oh, do I take him out for this amount of time? Because we don't want him to catch another foul and, have 4 fouls down the stretch. Like they never had to have that issue when I don't feel like I'm being too Tennessee homery in saying that the officiating was really frustrating there.
Didn't he have more free throws shot by himself than Tennessee did as a team collective?
I can tell you really quick that
I thought I saw somebody, which is a
oh yeah, totally, yeah.
Normal go-to.
Edey was 14 of 22 at the line, and we were 7 of 11 at the line.
Look,
and again, part of that is the style of play that we had that game. Like we
Sure.
were taking a lot of jump shots, which can then get to the other frustrating part of the game was, man, my guy Jonas Adu. That was a hard watch, man. That was really, really hard for a player who had such a great season for us and was integral to our success for most of the season. He made so many improvements this year and got so much better. And he looked terrified out there.
Which is so surprising.
He had even throughout our little tournament run, he didn't look as good as he has looked through the regular season. But not nothing like what it was watching. And I get it, man. I don't know what it's like to have to try to guard and then go up on offense against a 7'4", 300-pound guy. I don't know what that's like.
Right.
But man, I mean, he was airballing shots that he usually can at least make and come close to. He's letting passes go through his hands. He didn't seem very confident with the ball. He didn't seem confident going up for rebounds. And it showed Rick. I think Rick saw it immediately. He only played 10 minutes. And he's started every game this season, played almost the whole game every time. Or, he's usually I would say a 30 to 35 minute guy. And he only played 10 minutes in an Elite 8 game. And that was really, really tough to lose him. And just basically for him to sit basically on a coach's decision. That was hard. It just seemed like he didn't have a lot of confidence and he was the moment was a little too big for him. So Awaka comes in and sorry.
No, I was just going to say, because he's a junior.
Yeah, he's a junior.
I think it was just a little surprising. And I know that it doesn't matter if it's a 18-year-old freshman or if it's a 23-year-old fifth year. If the moment's too big, they're going to feel it in some capacity. I think it was just probably like you've said over and over again, and all Tennessee fans is just probably more shock that it was like, what happened to you?
Yeah.
I
mean, all season, that was kind of the thing of the teams that we don't usually, the teams that we lost to the most and the teams that we had the hard time against are teams with big physical centers. And just because Adu, while he's almost 7 feet tall, he's more lanky. He's kind of Adu or Edey had at least 3 to 4 inches on him, and I would guess about 50 to 75 pounds on him. That's a very hard ask, but he's gone against guys that were bigger than him that he's at least still out there trying and like
Yeah.
trying to be physical and he just didn't have it. And it was just hard to watch. And so Awaka comes in, and Awaka I think did a good job guarding him. Obviously, because he's Tobe Awaka, he's gonna be aggressive and foul a lot. And so one of the cool things of the game was when Awaka is sitting out with foul trouble, instead of putting Adu back in, Barnes goes with the 18-year-old JP Estrella, 4-star, a guy who I think the staff is really high on for the future. But this year was not going to be much of a thing for Estrella, and it wasn't. He didn't play a ton in big moments. And here's the biggest moment of the season, kid. Go out there and try to guard
Give it
the
what you can.
two-time National Player of the Year, who's 7'4" and 300 pounds. And dang it, JP Estrella went out there and he played great given the situation. Like, he was not afraid, and he got cooked by Edie a couple times, which not shocking.
Sure.
But I watched this 18-year-old go out there and just try and stopped him a few times. He had a few good defensive stops, had a big alley-oop in transition another time, and it was really cool to watch Estrella kind of step up in that moment and provide big minutes. And it was pretty cool. After the game, Estrella was interviewed and really emotional, as a lot of the guys were, and season's over. And just him talking about like what this season's meant to him and how much he looks up to the seniors and the older guys on this team. And it was like, man, JP Estrella, like, shout out, dude. Great job. Way to give a damn. Like, he cares about this team. That was cool. So, and I guess the only other like point in the game that, I mean, X's and O's, it kind of just what it was. I think the big surprise was how poorly everyone else on Purdue played, pretty much. I mean, Edie absolutely carried them. And just like Dalton Connect kind of carried us, it really kind of came down to like mano y mano, those two guys, and everyone else was kind of just, all right. I mean, sure, like looking back on it, Zakai didn't shoot well. Vescovy, poor Vescovy, he didn't play in the Creighton game because of his illness. He only played, I think, like 9 minutes. In this one, he clearly was just sick and didn't. I don't even really. Someone mentioned like flu-like symptoms or something, but it sounds like maybe there was something else going on there. But Gainey made some big shots. Josiah kind of he seemed to be shooting well, but didn't shoot very much in the game. I think Zakai finally. It looked to me like at the end there that he finally was starting to run out of gas. I mean, he played every minute. I think
I was
of
gonna say, I don't
every.
think he sat, right? Like, he played the entire game.
Barnes took him out for like. It was like leading up. I think in the second half, it was leading up to like a media timeout, and Purdue called a timeout, and he took him out for whatever that like. He knew it would just be a minute before there would be a media timeout, and so he took him out. So I think Zakai. Well, I got the box score right here. Zakai played 39 minutes. So like he played the whole game against Creighton 2 nights before. I just think the guy finally ran out of gas a little bit, and I think it showed in his shooting.
Yeah.
He missed some free throw. He was like 2 of 5 from the free throw line, which he's not like the best free throw shooter in the world, but I think usually his free throw shooting gets better in big moments. So yeah, it wasn't great from Zakai. It was a total no-show from Adu, who it's like, those are our next 2 best players after Connect. And so that was, to me, that was a big, that combined with the foul situation with Edie, and yet we still only lost by 6. It was, to me, a great effort, and we just came up a little short against a team that, like, end of the day is probably a little better than us, probably because of one guy. But But that's kind of been the story for everybody against Purdue this year. Is like, what do you do against that guy? I just hope he misses free throws and hope he misses hook shots and that are impossible to guard pretty much. But you need someone. I mean, ironically, a lot of Tennessee like I miss Euros today. At least Euros maybe could have gone out there and made it a little harder for him.
Well, I mean, Euros probably checks him in the face. I mean,
oh yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
it's not just like,
Definitely.
hey, I'm going to go bang around a little bit down low and hit him in the arm as he's going up for shot. I mean, it's like,
No, Euros would have made him count.
say uncle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be one of those. So, which I mean, whatever it takes at that point. Yeah, I don't know in the grand scheme in the college level if anybody really knows what to do with Edie. So at this point, it's almost like Painter and Edie and the staff have all kind of gotten together and been like, hey, until they do something different, just keep doing your thing.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
And
I don't blame him at all.
yeah, and you said it earlier, but when it's talking about he's trying to box out, get position for a rebound, like literally because of his height, like naturally, yeah, an elbow is probably going to land in a dude's face because the guy that's trying to guard him is probably 6'8". Like height wise, that's just what happens. But that doesn't dismiss the fact that it's not a one-off thing. He repeatedly does it over and over again, and it's like, if anything, it's like just call it one time or call it twice, whatever. I mean, obviously the other team's fans would want you to call it every time, but it's like it's a repeated pattern of behavior. You don't call it, and then when he gets the rebound, and then you call a foul on the other guy who either got hit in the face on the elbow or was shoved out of the way to get rebound. I mean, there was one play I remember. Sometimes they'll do that overhead camera on top of the backboard.
Yeah.
And I watched Awaka. I mean, it was like he was standing 2 feet about to get a rebound, and it's like there's no way Awaka ends up 2 feet and is immediately under the basket without getting shoved. Like, he's built like a linebacker. There's no way like he's not intentionally going to jump to the hoop and miss the ball.
Yeah. And that's my big thing.
And it was a no call. He gets the rebound, puts it back in for a bucket. I don't know how
call it both ways. If we're going to foul him all the time, then he better be called for fouls against us too.
Yeah. And I said it in text, and I tried to wait. I didn't want to like water it down, give it some time. But my ultimate takeaway, especially on some of those clips, I was like, look, when Edie gets to the league, it's not like he'll get buckets. And I'm not trying to say like he can't be good. I think he can be. But guys in the league, they may not be 7'4", but they're damn twice, if not triple time the athleticism. Like they'll swat him.
He's not, and not to like dump on him because I do think he's a good player, and I do think he will be in the NBA. But like, he's going to get cooked defensively in the NBA. He's not good enough. We have a Dalton Connect, and there's like 40 Dalton Connects in the NBA who are gonna get him on a pick and roll, and he can't defend guys that aren't like him really. Right. And most of the NBA is so athletic and so fast and so skilled. Like he's not going to be able to be out there as much.
Well, like imagine him
really because of his defense, and he can't step out and make shots from outside of the post.
I mean, can you imagine him being one-on-one versus Wembanyama? Right? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Wembanyama. Yeah. Oh yeah, he
can't.
Can
you imagine him trying to go up one-on-one, and
no way.
Wembanyama just looks at him. It's like,
no way.
Like, now I also get that he's a freak, and it's
totally.
like him. Who else? What's his face up in Milwaukee? I mean, there's a number of guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like there's a number of guys that you can't replicate. We joke about like they were made in the lab of like how good they are and the fact that they're all 7'2", 7'3" unicorns. But yeah, Edie, he's a very classic. Go set up on the block. We'll feed you the ball. You throw in some hook shots.
Yeah.
get some, that's fine. But if you're getting cooked and letting dudes pass you up in college who are half your size, I mean, it's a no-brainer that it's not only going to happen in the NBA, it'll be double time. So
Yeah.
it'll
Well,
be
and what'll be interesting, like I think we're all hoping and wishing that NC State beats Purdue in the Final Four.
sure.
Would I put money on that? No. So, and assuming that UConn continues their dominance, I mean, they're on a roll of like almost, it's like no one even watches their games because they win by so much every game. I mean, there were all
Yeah.
those stats being put out about UConn, and I've kind of shifted the subject really quick, but like since
okay.
the first round of 2023 last year, they've won every game by at least 13 points. The closest final that UConn has had in the last 2 years in this tournament has been them winning by 13. And they've had numerous 25, 30-point wins in there too. I mean, they went on, what was it, a
30-0 run.
30-0 run against Illinois in the Elite Eight. I mean, they're incredible. But their center, Donovan Clingan, I think is how you say it, he's all of 7'2", 280. And like, there's a matchup that I would love to see is Clingan versus Edey in the national championship. I think that would be awesome. Because to be honest, I think UConn would boat race them.
Since we're already talking about Final Four, so I was going to say, if I had to pick of who I think ends up in the championship game, I think at this point it's probably UConn and Purdue.
Which I think is probably that's the best matchup to watch. That's going to be the best, get the most eyeballs. Those are probably the two best teams all season.
But like selfishly, do I want Bama and NC State? Sure. I want to see DJ Burns. I want to see my future coach in Nate Oates. Like,
and there it is.
I think he'll look great in Kentucky blue. I mean,
Nate Oates in Kentucky blue. He'd have some sweet blazers to.
It'd be great.
Some blue checkered blazers, I'm sure, to wear on the sideline.
Yeah, I know that there's a storefront up there who's just like watching and observing from afar, and they're like,
"Please,
we could outfit Nate, no problem. We got a couple items waiting for him whenever he wants to take the job." Look, it's not going to be Dan. He'll retire at UConn, especially if they win again. I think the only way he ever even considers leaving UConn would be for the NBA. I don't even know if he would want to do that because he'll have everything he wants up in Connecticut. I mean, that'd just be a purely
blue blood program. Why?
He's going to turn 50.
Leave?
He's made it known he doesn't want to coach past 60. So you're like, do I give the NBA a shot purely on? I don't know if I want to coach past another decade. I don't know if I would get another shot. Like, let's just give it a run just to be able to say I did it. If it goes great, good. If not, then I gave it a shot. But it's not like it's going to be because the folks up at Connecticut can't front money. I mean, they're just like, you just tell us what number you want, and we'll make sure you get it.
This is all we care about.
Yeah.
They don't care about football up there. They don't care.
They don't care.
This is our thing.
So
men's
we won't
and women's college basketball. That's what we care about.
Yep. So Lexington will not get Dan Hurley. That's just off the table. That'd be a dream scenario. So Nate, for me,
that's your guy.
Next man up. Because, I would say Will Wade, but that's you
don't want Will Wade, dog.
Well, I kind of do though. Him and Nate are the only two guys that I have seen. Well, and Dan, but Dan's off. So Nate and Will are the only other two guys that I've seen from an attitude situation that I think can handle being in Lexington. Now, could they handle the heat and the pressure of fans? Probably a different conversation. I tend to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think, like, if you already have that kind of attitude and swagger about yourself, Cal did when he was at UMass, and it escalated when he got to Memphis. So I'm kind of thinking, like, well, if you already got it, think you can kind of handle it getting to Lexington. But who knows? I mean, it's not like Alabama fans are clamoring for his job. I mean, obviously not now, but I don't think there's really ever any heat for him being at Alabama. They're more like, hey, you give us anything, like we're great.
This is
It's
great.
probably, yeah.
Something to take our minds off season football.
Right. And then for Will Wade, when he was at LSU, it's kind of the same thing down there. They're like, hey, we'll take whatever.
Yeah.
So, I'm obviously talking dream scenario. I already did my bit. It's not my turn anymore. So yeah, dream scenario, it would be Bama and NC State just for the sake of kicks and giggles. And we're all just like hooting and hollering about Marcus Sears and Nate Oates and the, get your analytics out versus DJ Burns. He's bringing his, the wolf pack and the stereo system out. Just like we don't give a what. And we're here to just let her rip. So, yeah, unfortunately, I think it'll be UConn and Purdue, and I'm probably still going to take UConn to win.
I think UConn is like the fact that initially I thought that like, oh yeah, Auburn can like give them a game in the Sweet 16, and I'm gonna be like trendy and pick Auburn. Like they have killed everyone. Everyone.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter.
So much better than everyone else. They beat Stetson 91-52, Northwestern 75-58, San Diego State 82-52, and in the Elite Eight 77-52 against Illinois. I mean, it's just
you're turning those games off by halftime. I mean,
literally.
not the Illinois game, but it was at halftime when they began their 30-0 run. So at that point, you're like, what am I watching?
Yeah. I've seen college like analysts, the guys who do podcasts and are talking about like, yeah, they're so good. I don't even watch because it's like, what's the point? They're up by 30. Like there's not much to see here anymore.
Yeah, we know what they're doing.
Against like Illinois, their run was spectacular leading up to the Elite Eight, and Terrence Shannon and their number one adjusted offense in the country, and they beat Iowa State pretty handily in the Sweet 16, and or not handily, it was a close game, but they had this great run and they just had no shot. I mean, I guess they were kind of in it at halftime, down 5, and here comes UConn out of halftime with a 30-0 run. I just don't see how any. I mean, Bama's going to have to hit 23s. I feel like in this game to have a shot, which they can do probably.
I was going to ask, what's the percentage chance you give? I mean, like more than 10?
I'm at the point where it's like, why even try to zag against UConn?
Everybody's
Bama, I mean, I'll give them a 5% chance.
Sure. Hey, Oates is a math guy. He likes give him 5.
That's fine.
He'll figure it out.
If I'm at the point where if Bama pulls off the upset of all upsets and beats UConn and meets Purdue in the championship game, I'm rooting for Bama. That's how pissed off Purdue made me. And like, once again, we have, I mean, Tennessee fans can point to like 3 or 4 different losses across different sports at this point of Purdue ending our seasons in disgusting fashion. I can't stand Purdue. I would root for Bama against Purdue. I would root for Kentucky. I would root for Florida. I would root for Duke against Purdue. Purdue is the worst. I'll root for anyone over there.
I'm just glad that you have a team that makes you feel that way.
I can't stand them. And like here, this is like me from 2-3 days ago now, starting to come out. But like those their interviews post game where daggum Fletcher Lawyer, who like, can you like, is there a name that just more like, I want to punch you in the face? Your name is Fletcher Lawyer. Who like, by the way, in the game, has the flop of the century when little 5'9" Zakai Ziegler runs into him, and he looks like he's been shot by a gun.
Yeah.
And he flops to the ground and makes a big scene out of it. After the game, Fletcher Lawyer has this comment like, yeah, Tennessee's a good team. They played really hard. We just played harder. And it's like, no, you didn't. No, you didn't, Fletcher Lawyer. No, you didn't, the rest of the team. You had one guy who played better, who carried you, who put all of you together on his probably 10-foot wingspan and carried you to the Final Four. You did not play harder. That comment, and of course, Edey kind of took a swipe at Barnes as well, which was kind of weird. And
it was a little
it, man. Like, if you feel like you need to have a chip on your shoulder that you were under recruited, and coaches like Rick Barnes look past you, like, okay, whatever, do what you got to do. But like, it just kind of weird
bit for even entering the tournament, like in the first round. He's done this like whole thing of, I've always been overlooked. And I'm kind of like, have you?
Dude, he went to IMG Academy down in Florida and was recruited by a Big Ten school. Like,
I don't.
Okay, do what you got. Like, listen,
sure, gas yourself
up. It helps
up.
You play better. Do what you got to do. But it just was kind of a weird swipe at Barnes that just kind of felt unnecessary, and I don't know.
Yeah.
That one didn't bother me as much as Fletcher Lawyer saying that they played harder than us, because no, they didn't.
Okay, Fletcher.
You got more foul calls is what you got.
All right, whatever you say, buddy. Like, good for you. Hope that when you get back home to, is it Bloomington? No, sorry, that's Indiana. I'm trying to think of wherever Purdue's located. Not that it matters. I was just going to say, whenever y'all get home to wherever you're located, you and your presidency over at Sigma Chi, all you and your frat brothers will get to like chat about, like, hey, how about that comment? I gave it to him, didn't I?
Yeah, he looked like he should be like one of the cronies from Cobra Kai in Karate Kid, like just spoiled rich kid with his coiffy hair. Like, oh, I can't stand Fletcher Lawyer.
Yeah,
he's got a brother named Foster Lawyer. Like, come on. I don't even need to know anything else about you. Just that name and your hair, and I hate you.
Yeah, I'm sorry Zakai sent you to the ER. Man, that was terrible. Just absolute
freaking
madness.
Purdue.
I can't believe we all caught that on film. Unbelievable. Anything else? I'm here. I don't.
I think that was. Yeah, I feel that felt kind of cathartic to get out.
Good.
To say that into a microphone, that yeah, that felt good. That felt good. No, I think I'm ready to move on. I don't know if we want to. I guess we kind of picked the Final Four already.
We did. I was going to make another point. And look, you don't have to go this route. It's kind of up to you. If Oates makes it to the championship game, hypothetically, if they pull off the upset of upsets, whether they win or not, especially if they do win, is it time to say that Nate Oates would be coach of the year and he's a top 3 coach in all of America? Thoughts?
So you're saying if Alabama goes to the championship, whether they win it or not,
if they make it to the title
year,
you could say no comment. Kind of up to you.
Now, I mean, one could say, I'm not saying, they had a much better team last year. They had a top 2 overall pick. They were the number 1 overall seed in the country last year.
Mm-hmm.
So, worst team this year. They go further in the tournament. Have a shot at they go to a Final Four.
He replaces all of his staff, the majority of the staff, and the majority of his roster.
That's a strong argument. I'm not making that argument.
You don't have to. I can do it.
I'm not. Let it be clear. I'm not making that argument. He's a good coach. He is. He's a good coach. That's where I'll leave you there.
That's fine. I was going to say I can trust and get behind a head ball coach that is willing not only one to hire out a third party analytic team to monitor and watch your crew for the entire season, starting in the offseason beforehand, and you ride with them all the way up until their previous game, where it was said he went to them during halftime to basically say, is what we're doing working? I mean, which we've talked about here before, right? Which is they just shoot threes and get to the rim. They had Bobby Hoops. How many shots do you think they took that was not either from the 3-point line or at the rim? How many do you think they took?
One,
One.
maybe.
They took one mid-range shot. Look, I'm just telling you, the man lives by this is what we're going to do. And then he went to his folks and said, is this working? And I think they were up at 4 at halftime, and they were like, look, I mean, they say, well, if they say our system, our numbers say you honestly should be up double digits. You're just not hitting your shots. You're not hitting your open threes. You're not hitting a couple of those buckets at the rim. All right, keep doing what you're doing. So you know what? He stuck with it. They end up winning. Yeah. Now, whether or not one actually believes in that, kind of up to the beholder, I guess. But I'm just saying, if a man is willing to bring in a third party, sounds like a guy who's ready to be in Lexington. Again, I digress. So all I have to say is, could be a coach of the year candidate. Just one man's opinion. So
it could be hard to argue against that.
It could.
He's in the Final Four.
But it's going to be really hard for them to beat UConn.
No shot. 5% shot. I'll
go with
UConn has crushed everybody.
I think it'll be interesting to see what Bama team shows up, because I'm like, hey, if you're the team that goes out and hits minimum 13, 14 threes, we might have something. Or are they going to be the Bama team that, we've seen, like when they showed up to the Tommy Bowl and they couldn't hit the side of the backboard and hit maybe 6 out of 35 threes.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like,
oh yeah, when it goes bad, it goes bad.
Because again, they're gonna keep doing threes or layups. So
they don't change the way they play. Oh man. Here I go. I picked against Bama against Charleston in the first round. I think every time we've sat down to talk about them in this tournament, I'm like, no, they're not going to win. No, they can't do it. And like that game against North Carolina, then the Sweet 16, the Grant Nelson game, I guess, as it's been called now, that guy has done jack all season. He's a fine player, whatever. Not bad.
Yeah. At one point, he was said to be the number 1 transfer in the portal. And, he had a fine season. It wasn't like...
Spare me.
Yeah. Obviously, the best portal guy was DK. I mean, that's bar none. There's not even a conversation of... But Grant Nelson, for what they thought they would get, maybe if they imagined a DK level type season, just wasn't really there. He was fine. And then all of a sudden, he just blows up against North Carolina. You're like, I'm sure Bama fans are like, there's the guy. There's the guy that we've been hoping for and we were sold on.
He looked amazing in that North Carolina game.
Yeah.
Amazing. I mean, he
went for...
if I'm a Carolina fan, I'm, you got Baycott. They lost by 2 in a game where Baycott misses a dunk late in the second half.
That was so bad.
ACC Player of the Year, first-team All-American RJ Davis shoots 4 of 20 and 0 of 9 from 3 in that game. Like, everything went bad for Carolina late in that game, and which is why, once again, I'm like, no, Bama's not that good. They're not that good. They just they've had a great stretch in the tournament. They beat Charleston in the first round. They got the fake school Grand Canyon in the second round. They got North Carolina, who had a terrible game from their best players. And then they get Clemson in the Elite Eight. Like,
snoozer.
come
I mean, it
on.
ended up being a good game, but it's just like
Sure, but it's Clemson. Again, I think I picked against Clemson in the first round too. They both of them proved me wrong all the way to the Elite Eight, and still I don't believe in them.
this tournament once again proves that it doesn't always.
Sorry.
It's okay. I was going to say, I didn't know if that was your phone ringing or if like
My
you
DJ Roomba just took off. Shut that down real quick.
Yeah, but tournament in classic fashion doesn't always allow for the like clear best team to win. Usually like 5, 6 teams that you're like, they could. I would say 2 of them of the 5 are in the Final Four. So it's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But, you know, when you got a friggin' matchup with Clemson and Alabama, you're like, no, that wasn't one of the, you know, top teams that you're like, clearly they could win this thing pretty easily.
The idea of like
NC State proves that too. Like,
yeah,
they had to win their conference tournament just to get in. So
I mean, to think of like every other Elite Eight matchup featured a team that Tennessee beat this year. We beat NC State this year. We beat Illinois this year, and we beat Bama twice this year.
Yeah,
and hard for me to believe that we wouldn't have beat Duke, that we wouldn't have beat Clemson. UConn and Purdue were the only 2 teams that it's like, yeah, I don't think so against those teams.
sure.
And I'm just bitter. I'm just a bitter, sad man.
There's nothing wrong with being there because at some point,
dude.
Yeah, I'm just a couple steps ahead of you. I jokingly said beforehand, like, hey, seats open here right here on the bench. Like, come and sit down with me. Seats warm. Yeah. You gonna watch the games?
Yeah, I'll watch. I think I just mostly want UConn to just eviscerate everybody and or DJ Burns and NC State do the unthinkable. But in reality, what I would like to see most is just UConn torch. Burn it all down, UConn. Just
let
kill us all.
I would love to see UConn boat race Purdue and then have to hear Fletcher try to come up with some like, oh man, like they were just better than us today.
Yeah.
Yikes, man. I when I get home and I have to tell my frat brothers, like, I don't know what happened that day. Like, just didn't have it.
Because frick, dude. That sucks, dude.
Are you freaking kidding me, dude? Yeah, he's whatever. He probably, I don't even know if the man's in a fraternity. He's probably gonna be a very well paid.
His name is Fletcher. It's hard not to. Anyway.
Well, we'll plan on watching the games if we can. My son's birthday's this weekend, so we'll be celebrating him on.
Shout out C-Bone turning
4. On 4, yep,
big 4.
So crazy. So yeah, birthday Saturday. We'll party with him on Sunday afternoon. It'll be a blast. But yeah, you know, we'll still plan on trying to watch the games. You doing anything other than watching, you know, this weekend?
WrestleMania, baby. It's WrestleMania weekend.
Any as you've joked about being Bobby Rings, Bobby Wrestling, any of your other code names, any insight or what should people look for if they are tuning into WrestleMania?
Well, I mean, not to take we're really veering off course here, but
it's our show.
The biggest story in wrestling right now is the return of The Rock.
Sure.
He's in his early 50s, and he's wrestling a match at WrestleMania, a tag match, to kind of, you know, we can hide some of that. Well, I mean, last time he wrestled was a decade ago and about tore every muscle in his body doing that in a one-on-one match. So let's put him in a tag match so it's not so much on his shoulders. Anyway, big deal. The Rock's back. He's a bad guy for the first time in like 20 years.
Sure.
He's the best. He's the best. I will go down forever saying that. Dwayne Johnson, kind of a weirdo. And that's putting it lightly. The Rock is the man. The Rock.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable character. He's just great. I mean, I know that obviously he's been in a more active role when it comes to movies and all that stuff, but it's you're just good at delivering. Doesn't matter if you're going heel, good guy, whatever your role is. Like you're good at implementing that character and making all the adults and kids in the room feel like they are watching a movie kind of unravel in front of them, and it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we've seen people try to do a character, and you're like, hey, this isn't really working, But when you watch him and several other people, you're like, you are great.
I mean, a few weeks ago they were in Salt Lake City, Utah, and this man walks out to the ring again. He's a bad guy right now. And he's cutting promos on Mormons having 10,000 wives. He's throwing out statistics about how Utah has the highest rate of, crack smokers in the world. So all of you idiot fans, shut up and go back to and smoke some more crack and just shut up. Like, this is amazing. This guy's like the highest paid actor in the world. And has decided to come back to wrestling to tell Utah folks that they should shut up and go smoke some more crack. Like, I don't get why people don't like this stuff. This is amazing.
That is hilarious. I'm sure the only people offended are Mormons, but
oops. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Pick a different lane, then maybe don't be a Mormon.
Sorry.
I don't know. Since it's not going to get you anywhere. Okay, I digress.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not going to go down that lane. So, ball games, WrestleMania, birthday parties for 4-year-olds.
That's right.
It's going to be a blast.
Big week.
You got anything else?
Nope. I think that's it. Cool.
Folks, thanks for tuning in. We love you guys. I'm going to go grab some cold brew and go look at a house. So, I'm Big Papa.
Bobby Hoops.
We'll see you guys.
See you.